Tractate Avodah Zarah. General Introduction. Tractate Avodah Zarah, literally foreign worship, deals with the subject of idolatry. The sin of idolatry is considered one of the most severe sins of Judaism. It is one of the three sins for which a person must give up his life rather than violate it. See Sanhedrin 74a. The Ten Commandments begin with the declaration, I am Hashem your God, and continue with the prohibition, you shall not recognize the gods of others in my presence. Exodus chapter 20, verses 2 and 3. This commandment and prohibition constitute the bedrock of Jewish faith, belief in the one God, upon which observance of all the other mitzvahs of the Torah is based. As our sages state, the commandment against idolatry is equal to all the other commandments combined. For anyone who accepts idolatry rejects the entire Torah, all the prophets, and everything that the prophets were commanded from Adam until the end of time. And anyone who rejects idolatry acknowledges the truth of the entire Torah, all the prophets, and everything that the prophets were commanded from Adam until the end of time. This is the foundation of all the commandments. See Rambam, Hilchos Avodas, Kochavim 2:4, from Horayos 8a and Kedushin 40a. The Torah mentions the prohibition against idolatry repeatedly, and adds many associated prohibitions and positive commandments. There are a total of 51 biblical commandments and prohibitions that concern idol worship and following the ways of idol worshippers. See Rambam preface to Hilchos Avodas Kochavim. The prohibitions and penalties that apply to believing in or worshiping idols have already been discussed in the 7th chapter of Tractate Sanhedrin. Tractate Avodah Zarah focuses primarily on the laws governing our treatment of idols and the prohibition against deriving any benefit from them and the objects used by them in the practice of idolatry. It also deals with our association and social interactions with idol worshippers, as well as the food of idolaters. 1. Deriving benefit from idols. It is forbidden for a Jew to have any benefit from an idol, the things used to decorate it or serve it, or the items brought to it as offerings. The Torah states two prohibitions in this regard. A, you shall not bring an abomination into your home, Deuteronomy 7:26, and B, no part of the banned property may stick to your hand, Deuteronomy 13:18. Thus, if a Jew has an idolatrous object in his possession, he may not feed it to his animal, burn it as fuel, or even use it as a paperweight. He also may not sell it to an idolater, since the money he receives for it is a benefit. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th chapters of this tractate deal extensively with these prohibitions, as well as the conditions under which such objects may become permitted for benefit. 2. Nesech wine, and the ordinary wine of idolaters. Much of this tractate is taken up with the prohibitions that apply to the wine of idolaters and the wine of a Jew that was handled by an idolater. Wine that was poured as a libation to an idol is biblically forbidden for benefit, like any other substance brought as an offering to an idol. Such wine is known as nesech wine. The sages also prohibited the ordinary wine of idolaters, i.e. wine belonging to an idolater, even if he is not known to have used it for a libation. They did this in order to limit the amount of socializing that goes on between Jews and idolaters, so that this should not lead to intermarriage, Gemara 36b. It would have been sufficient for this purpose to prohibit just drinking their wine. Nevertheless, once they prohibited drinking the wine, the sages prohibited even having benefit from it. The sages also prohibited the wine of a Jew that was touched by an idolater because of the possibility that he made a libation with it. The many issues created by this decree are discussed at length at the end of chapter 4 and through most of chapter 5. 3. Assisting in idolatry or immorality. It is a principle of Torah law that not only may one not violate the law himself, but he may also not do anything that will cause another person, whether Jew or non-Jew, to violate a Torah law. It is therefore forbidden for a Jew to cause or assist an idolater, even one who is not Jewish, to transgress the Torah's prohibitions against idolatry or immoral relations, or any of the other Noahide laws. In addition, the sages prohibited a Jew to be involved in certain situations that might lead him to being drawn into the idolatrous or immoral practices of the idolaters. The first 2 chapters of the tractate discuss many activities that are forbidden to a Jew for these reasons. 4. Protecting Jews from the dangers of society. The sages enacted various regulations to protect Jews from falling into situations where they might be physically abused or even killed by idolaters. The sages of the Mishnah and Talmud lived in a pagan world. They witnessed firsthand the behavior and standards of these societies that worshipped idols. See Gemara 22b. These societies had not been civilized by the just and merciful laws of the Torah and accepted all sorts of horrible practices. Human sacrifice and even the sacrifice of one's own children were considered acceptable and even praiseworthy. See Deuteronomy 12, verse 31, and see Kings 2, chapter 17, verse 31. The terrible cruelties and extreme immorality of the Roman Empire surrounded them. In this world, even ordinary people were suspected of doing things that seem hard for us to believe today. It was with great understanding of these dangers that the sages enacted their decrees to protect Jews from coming to harm. These decrees were not based on unreasonable fears and prejudices, but on the realities of the world in which they lived. The laws of the Torah are meant to create a way of life that is pleasant and peaceful, as the verse states in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 17, its way are ways of pleasantness, and all its pathways are peace. See Gittin 59b. It goes without saying that the Torah expects us to act with dignity and pleasantness towards anyone who is proper and decent, Jew and non-Jew alike. We are required to assist and respect the elderly among the non-Jews, see Kedushin 33a, and to help support their poor, visit their sick, and bury their dead, as we do our own. See Gittin 61a, Rambam Hilchas Melachim 10:12. One of the praises said about the great sage Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai is that he was always the first to offer a greeting to anyone he passed in the street, Jew and non-Jew alike. See Berachos 17a. The Gemara in this tractate, 10b, 18a, teaches that righteous non-Jews have a share in the world to come. It is only where our interactions with non-Jews, who were all idolaters in ancient times, might lead to physical or spiritual danger, to intermarriage, idolatry, and immorality, that the sages enacted their decrees to safeguard us and keep us from drifting away from the ways of holiness. May it be the will of Hashem that we speedily merit to see the fulfillment of the verse in Isaiah 11, verse 9, "They will neither injure nor destroy in all of my sacred mountain, for the world will be as filled with knowledge of Hashem as water covering the seabed."